Sherdonna Jackson. Oh, thank you for that, Daniel. And Sherdonna Jackson, who is a pharmacy technician. So we're really excited to hear from them. Their bios are also in the chat, and we encourage you all to introduce yourselves too. How today is going to go is we're going to start off with a general panel where we'll be in this main space. Danielle will be leading us off with questions for our guests here. And then we'll have time for a few questions and answers for the big group. And then what we'd like to do is send everybody into breakout rooms, and you'll get a chance in a survey to fill out your top few choices of who you'd like to start off with. And then we're hoping to do a second rotation so you can talk in smaller groups with at least 2 people today. Then we'll come back to the big room and wrap it up with one final question. So I'm going to get off my spotlight and hand it back to Danielle, and she's going to take us through the panel discussion. Thanks.
Thank you, Sophia. To make this run a little more smoothly, I'll ask my question and I'll call on each speaker to answer. So my first question is, how would you describe your job to someone who's not in your field? And could you also describe a typical day in your job? Dayna, could you start us off, please?
Unmuting will help. Sure. So I'm a dental hygienist, but I'm also an educator. So my days are a little bit different throughout the week. Some days I am treating patients, taking care of their dental health. And then some days I'm in the classroom helping Foothill students learn dental x-rays. And then some days I'm actually reviewing research and literature with other doctors and dental hygienists.
Thank you, Dayna. I'll pass it off to you, Edgar.
Sounds good. So I work at AbbVie Biotherapeutics, also a pharmaceutical company. And basically my day-to-day involves going into work and taking care and making sure that my cell cultures are viable for the experiments that we have to undergo for the following week. But basically, I am in charge of, in addition to the cells, making sure they're viable, I express and I produce various antibodies and proteins. And we do a bunch of different QC analytics and assays in order to determine whether or not these engineered and designed molecules are ready for the next step in the drug discovery pipeline. I'm also involved in 2 different project teams where we're working on 2 targets of interest, targeting different kinds of cancers. And outside of the lab, I do also work from home and just basically conduct meetings and get caught up on what's going to be coming along next week.
Thank you, Edgar. Susanna.
Hi, everyone. I'm a physician assistant, currently working with the general surgery department at a hospital here in San Jose. So as a general surgery PA for physician assistant, my daily job is a little bit different. So first we start rounding, like I don't know if any of you have been in the hospital where you wait for the doctor to come in, and every morning, that's our morning rounds that we do, like from 7 to 8 a.m. And then we'll go to the operating room and do all our surgeries that we schedule the day before. We conduct consultations in the emergency room, so it's it's different every day. So, and that's my job every day. Sometimes from 8 hours to 12 hours to 18 hours, depends what type of surgeries we're doing that day. Thank you.
Thank you, Susanna. Sherdonna.
Hi, so I'm a pharmacy technician. I work at an inpatient hospital. So for us, our everyday looks a little bit differently. For us, it depends on how many shifts I suppose you're trained in, and your day can look different each day. For me, what we do is we prepare, we fill medications, and we also deliver them to various areas in the hospital. And we work with different nurses and doctors alongside of the pharmacists to make sure that patients have their medications for the ones that are admitted to the hospital. So each day is different. One day you could be doing most of the triaging, another day you could be delivering to units, another day you could be filling. It just depends. It could be an IV room, batching, so every day is different.
Thank you, Sherdonna. I noticed that you guys have very like hands-on jobs, and sometimes it could be really filled with unexpectedness. So that's really good to know. So for my next question, in a previous panel, we learned that there are often important people in our lives who shape our paths personally and professionally. Could you share one person in your life that has shaped or influenced your career path? I'll start off with Susanna.
Hi, I think for me, I don't know, since little, I always wanted to be in the medical field. And then when I came to the States, I'm from Mexico, I was working in a small community clinic. There was accepting residents from Stanford Physician Assistant Program, and I met them and I learned about their career, and that's how I started. So they really influenced me by, showing me how wonderful profession that was. So just few of them back then, and they're still my friends till now.
Thank you, Susanna. Sherdonna.
Yes, I think personally for me, I feel like a lot of people have kind of, influenced how I went down my path and helped me succeed. For me, my choice was more when I was looking to be a technician, it was more so looking for job security. And that's kind of was a bit of my motivation. But in terms of like getting into the position that I'm in, a big person that played a role in that was my director, actually, Angela Sue at Foothill, into the pharmacy technician program. She was our biggest advocate. She like fought for all of us. During our time, we did most of our program in class, and then when COVID hit, we went online. So it was an interesting transition from there. And because that happened, we weren't getting our externships, and a lot of hospitals and places weren't taking us. So I would really say that she played an important role in making sure we got our externships, really fighting for us to have those experiences, get the jobs after, and really just advocating for us to complete our program. So she played a huge role.
Thank you, Sherdonna. I really resonate with what you said about like job stability, like keeping that in mind too. That's what I was thinking. Dayna, I'll pass off to Dayna.
One of the people who helped guide me in my path is actually one of my teachers at Foothill in the dental hygiene program. It's a small class size, so you get to interact with your teachers a lot. And one of the professors, Judy Yamamoto, she kind of took me under her wing and really kept me motivated to keep moving forward. I'd always wanted to get my master's, but I wanted to kind of drag it out and take my time. And she was very good at motivating me to just get it done, and kind of move my career along. So it was really nice to have that close relationship coming from Foothill.
Thank you, Dayna. Actually, I relate to you too, like how people could influence, like your teacher influenced yours. My teacher also influenced me to become a bio major. So I'll pass it off to Edgar.
So I also had one of the most influential people in my life has also been a teacher. This individual, her name is Joanne Miyahara. She was actually my AVID teacher back in high school. And the reason that she was so impactful is because I was a first generation college graduate. Back then, I was pursuing college. So when I got the opportunity to enroll in this class, she just had such an infectious personality. She was very willing to sit down with each and every single one of her students to show them the paths and the requirements needed to pursue a college education, getting in, graduating, and researching careers after that. So it was that kind of motivation and determination that she instilled in me, in addition to always having a growth mindset that really inspired me to, pursue college, graduate, and pursue, my lifelong aspirations. And she was very impactful. And because of her, I am pursuing, I've made it into the biofield that I am in right now. And I am just incredibly thankful that I got the opportunity and the privilege to meet her. So yeah, that was Joanne Miyahara.
Thank you, Edgar. Thank you guys for your thoughtful answers. So I'll move on to the next question, which is, what is something you love about your job and what is something that you don't love? I'll start with you again, Edgar. Sorry, I'm like going backwards this time.
No worries. So one thing I absolutely love about my job is that I have the opportunity to interact and learn from scientists of all different areas and fields. Working in the biotech industry allows you to focus on your particular career goal, but at the same time, it allows you to branch out into different fields and kind of learn every single aspect of the science that goes into whatever it is that you're working on, whatever project you're working on in the biotech industry. So that's one thing I really love about my job is the flexibility to do that. Something I don't like about my job, that's a very difficult question. I can't think of something that I do not like about my job. It's just incredible being in the field that I am and the group that I'm involved in. I can't think of a negative. Yeah, I can't. Maybe I don't know, maybe working more days from home would be nice. Besides that, yeah, I can't say enough good things about my company, about my job and my position. So yeah.
Thank you, Edgar.
Sure.
I'll pass it off to Susanna.
So I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? What do I love about my job?
Yes, and what you don't love about it.
Okay, the thing I love the most is probably one of the reasons I went into medical field is to help the Spanish speaking population here in my community. It is so important to work in general surgery and help the surgeon, if he doesn't speak Spanish, translate difficult diagnosis. And I especially right now with COVID, that the family cannot come in, being able to translate exactly, because I'm from Mexico and I know the language very well in our culture, and be able to connect with them and to the surgeon, it is very fulfilling for me. And then just meeting, just working with patients is just so amazing. The thing that I hate the most is coming the next day and seeing that a patient died, and then you're not going to see him again. That's very hard for anybody working in my field. That's pretty much it. But I actually love my job. It's amazing.
Thank you, Susanna. Dayna?
Yeah, there's a lot of great things about dentistry in general. I would say the thing I love the most is actually just the connection with people. So with patients, with students. And I think with COVID, that kind of showed, that working from home sounds nice. You don't have to commute, no traffic, but I really missed that kind of one-on-one with other people. And I'm actually very introverted, naturally very shy, and never thought I would want to speak all day or be right in someone's face all day. But I've come to love it so much, and getting to see firsthand what your knowledge can do to help another person either grow as a student or just get healthier, and seeing that with your own eyes, it's just very rewarding and makes me love my job. The only thing I would say I don't love about dentistry is the physical part of it can be really damaging to your body. So you're in awkward positions all day. A lot of coworkers have had like carpal tunnel and other issues like that. So you really have to stay healthy, keep your body strong. For me, just having a variety in my week, so I'm not in those awkward positions all day, every day, has helped me and hopefully extends my career out for a long time.
Thank you, Dayna. I'll pass it off to you, Sherdonna.
Yes, I think there's so many positive things and things I like about what I do, actually. One of them is the flexibility. Working in a hospital, hospitals are open 24/7. So it's nice because there's multiple shifts that you can work. And with that, you could be home for your family, whether that's in the day or the nighttime. I think it's nice that you can work various shifts. I think another positive is being able to be part of, a patient's care. I really like that. I know that I assist in some kind of small way for them to get healthier, and I'm part of that process, which is amazing. I like the investigative part of it. I like that there's so many different avenues you could take as a pharmacy technician in a hospital. From if you want to be in the ER, the OR, the IV room, in the central pharmacy, if you want to be a satellite pharmacy, outpatient. So I just love that you're never really stuck and you have so many options, and it doesn't feel like you're just, sorting and filling or something like that. There's so many different things that you can do, where you're never bored. Your day is never the same. So there's just really so many positives. But as others have mentioned, there's the not so great side of it where you are exposed to dangerous things. You're in a hospital, people have very contagious diseases that you have to be careful for. You have to make sure your health is perfect. You have to take time for yourself and just take mental breaks. You get exposed to a lot of very sad situations with patients, with family members, and it also takes a toll on you, even though you're not, maybe you're not directly caring for the patient, but you're exposed to it. And so there's a lot of sad things that happen and things like that are a little tough to deal with. But other than that, I love it.
Thank you, Sherdonna. I also really like how there's a lot of flexibility in the hospital too, with the different positions, and in different areas that you can work in. So my next question is, what has been your career path since Foothill? And so I'll start off with you, Sherdonna.
So since Foothill, okay, well, what got me started at Foothill actually is I started off as a pharmacy assistant. So that's what actually made me want to go into the role. So from there, I became a technician for O'Connor. Actually, I think I know another person works at O'Connor. Yeah. So since then, I've actually became a technician at O'Connor, and then also, before I started at Stanford, I did a rotation at Lucille Packard too as well. So since Foothill, I worked for Lucille for about 4 or 5 months, and then I became full-time at Stanford as a inpatient pharmacy technician. So right now I'm full-time at Stanford, and then occasionally, per diem, I work as a technician at O'Connor Hospital too as well.
Oh, we might probably see each other.
Yeah. When I saw your bio, I was like, oh, awesome. I'll see you at Stanford and O'Connor.
Thank you, Sherdonna. I'll pass this one off to Susanna.
Okay, so like I said, I'm the oldest probably here. Since Foothill College, I graduated in I believe it was 1998 or 99. I started working in a small community clinic in Watsonville, and then I worked for 10 years for custody. I work in the jails in Salinas for 10 years at their small little clinic that we run there. Then from there, I moved to VMC, Valley Medical Center, in the trauma department. So we run the trauma clinic. And then now I've been at O'Connor in the surgery department for about a year. So it's been a long career for me.
Thank you, Susanna. I'll pass this one off to Edgar.
So I want to say about halfway between my Foothill career, I transitioned career/majors. I was originally pursuing architecture, but then I met a group of friends, and they really inspired me to pursue something more in the biological sciences. So by the time I graduated Foothill, I transferred to UC Santa Cruz, where I attained my degree in human biology, with the goal of someday potentially going into medical school. Although I wasn't really sure if that was a pathway that I wanted to follow. So what I ended up doing is I had the opportunity to work a couple of years at Roche Diagnostics, another biotech company, prior to moving to Chicago, where I did a little bit of laboratory research because I was a huge component in the med school application. And it was there that I got the opportunity to shadow a bunch of different doctors, nurses, technicians from all different areas of medicine. And long story short, I decided that that was not the career path that I wanted to take. It's a very admirable career for sure, very prestigious, a lot of work has to go into it. And based on my personality and my personal goals, that wasn't the career path that I wanted to take. So I decided to go back into the biotech industry and just focus on there, and then climb my way up. So that's how I ended up in the biotech industry. And currently I'm in a transitory phase of my career. I am taking some project management classes with the hopes of switching over from the lab and doing more of a business component of biotech, and leading project teams and taking those projects forward. Yep.
Thank you, Edgar.
Sure.
I'll call on you, Dayna.
So I graduated from the dental hygiene program in 2013, and then I went into clinical practice right away. And a few months after graduation, I interviewed with Waterpick, the oral health company, and became a professional educator for them. So I've been with them for going on 8 years now. And the whole time I stayed in clinical practice. So I had kind of a bit of variety. And then I went back and got my master's from UCSF and finished that in 2015, then started teaching at Foothill shortly after that.
Thank you, Dayna. Thank you all for your thoughtful answers. I think I'll pass this on
I'll
to
come in for a second. So I'm just gonna put in the chat for everybody. This is Sophia, for the participants, not for our guests. It's a survey because we're gonna get ready to ask a few final questions before we open up to general Q&A, and then we'll go into the breakouts. So if the participants who are just viewing, if you can fill out the survey of your top couple choices of who you'd like to speak with, please go ahead and fill that out, and then we'll be putting you into breakout rooms for the first round. So I'll send it back to you, Danielle.
Okay, so this next topic is a little tough. We'll be talking about imposter syndrome. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's basically when you feel as though everyone around you is super smart and has had this super clean, easy journey with no roadblocks, and that you're basically faking it, or that you don't deserve to be in the same position as them, even though you work just as hard to get there. I know I struggle with it as a bio major. I've definitely experienced some self-doubt when it comes to my capability. It can be hard feeling surrounded by people who, from my perspective, just naturally excel in my major and similar STEM disciplines. I have to remember that everyone is struggling and they probably feel the same way as I do. And I do that by talking and sharing my experiences with my peers and my friends. So for my last question before breakout rooms, could you share a time when you really messed up or had this big roadblock or challenge? What happened and what did you do to address the situation? I'll start off with you, Susanna.
There'll be a lot of times that I feel that syndrome. Actually, just as yesterday, I mean, I have so much experience in general surgery, and yesterday I consulted on a patient, and it's like, no, the patient does not have a hernia. And then we go to the OR and open up the patient, and there is a hernia. It's like, it's like you feel like, oh my God, what is the doctor gonna think of me? He's not gonna trust me anymore about doing these consults, and you feel horrible. But talking over with him, and I said, the incision looked good, doctor. And he says, okay, Susanna, I've done that before, so don't worry, it's okay. We fixed it. So I'm glad we fixed it and we found it. So sometimes we are just so hard on us that you just have to talk it over with the same person on that spot, because if you go home and just start thinking about it by yourself, or just with somebody that doesn't understand you, is very hard. But I find that if I talk it over right there, or later on, it's like, what, I feel so scared that somebody's talking about it and I didn't even know what they were talking about it. But I think that you just have to accept that everybody has questions and we are not able to know everything. Even if you have a lot of experience, even if you've been in the field forever, So I just learned in my time that I just have to talk it over right there and then. So that's what I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Susanna. I'll pass this off to Sherdonna.
For me, and then it was a question about roadblocks, right? Sorry about that. I completely blanked out for a second.
Yeah, it was a question about like messing up or sharing a time when you messed up and what happened and what did you do to address the situation?
There's plenty of times. I think for me it's interesting specifically just because I know I wanted to do something healthcare related, but I never initially thought I was like a science kind of person. And so when I pursued pharmacy, I'm like, can I do this? Like, will I pass pharmacology? Will I, will I be able to take certain classes? Like, is anatomy for me? And I think, and I'm a real hands-on in-person learner. And I mentioned earlier, partway through our program went all online. I completely blinked out. Like once I couldn't go to class anymore, we were in class it was 9 to 5. It was a full-time job, basically. We were there Monday through Friday. I loved it. It was great. We could do labs. You got to talk with everybody. There was only 13 of us in there, so we could ask as many questions as we want. We had contact, everything. It was fantastic. That's exactly what I needed. But when we couldn't do that anymore, it was like, well, it's online. I could do this later. You can attend out. So I think for me, it was one of those just getting over those hurdles of, not being able to be in person and finding another way that you can learn and, complete what you need to do. And then in the workplace setting, just not doubting yourself. I mean, essentially you're assisting pharmacists and you follow up on certain things, but sometimes you question the doctor if you notice like a patient's on a certain med, or you notice like, well, why are they taking this if you saw this? So you start to question certain things that you see and you're like, well, she's only been here for 3 months. Like, why is she questioning me? So, sometimes there's these certain situations that you come across and you're just like, well, this is what I learned. Like, I know this, you've been doing it a certain way. So, there's situations that come up in your everyday life, but, you research it, you look, you double check yourself, and you're like, no, I'm pretty confident about this. And you bring it to your pharmacist, your pharmacist manager, whatever the case is. And, you stick to your guns. And if you're wrong, that's okay. It's a learning lesson. But if you're not, you potentially saved a patient's life, or, you averted some kind of crisis. So for me, it's just, sticking with your guns and just going with it if you think something's not right. So that would be for me.
Thank you, Sherdonna. I'll pass it off to you, Dayna.
Imposter syndrome, I think, is always going to be kind of in the back of my mind. Even when I was emailing with Sophia to set up being on this panel, the thought went through my head like, oh, am I qualified? Do I have enough to share? But what I found in my kind of journey through school and work is just say yes to things that are kind of scary. Even if you don't think you're the right fit, you're going to gain something from it. Even if you flop and you do horribly, or it doesn't go the way you want it to go, you do gain something. Maybe you don't necessarily know what that is for a while. But usually if something's scary and your first instinct is to say, no, I don't want to do it, it usually turns out to be something great. So I don't have necessarily a specific thing I can think of, although I'm sure I've made tons of mistakes in the past. But I think just in general, my kind of motto is just say yes to scary stuff and then kind of see what happens.
For sure.
Thank you, Dayna. I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep saying yes to scary stuff. I'll pass it off to you, Edgar.
Sounds good. So in my situation, one instance of imposter syndrome that I can still recall happened during the first couple of months that I started working at AbbVie. As I mentioned earlier, prior to AbbVie, I was living in Chicago, undergoing some research work. I was working on a neuroblastoma cell line, and in order to culture those and provide maintenance for them, I was using antibiotics. So that was what differentiated that situation with working at AbbVie. At AbbVie, the cell lines that I work with and the unique experiments that we do with our particular cells, they do not require antibiotics. In fact, they are frowned upon because it interferes with the expression of the proteins that we're trying to express. So in the first couple months, I ended up contaminating a variety of different cultures. And that pretty much resulted in a little over $20,000 worth of material that I contaminated. And at that point, I told myself, what am I doing here? Why did I even get hired? What is my manager going to think of me? I'm not providing a good first impression to my team and to my company. But basically what I did to address this was, I had conversations with the person that trained me. I had conversations with my manager. We went through the entire process, what I did wrong, what I could have done right. And, it was a big learning experience for me. I haven't been let go since. I've definitely learned from that mistake. To this date, I have not contaminated a single sample, so knock on wood. But yeah, that was one instance where I didn't feel like I belonged, because just the fact that I basically dumped $20,000 worth of material down the drain, it felt horrible. It felt horrible, but you got to approach every day with a positive attitude. You have to know that, in your career, there's going to be many roadblocks, many challenges. And ultimately what I like to go by is the saying of how failure, it's a prerequisite for success. So, and all the great things in life are on the other side of fear. So those are kind of my mantras that I kind of like to go by. And just like I said, take it one step at a time, learn from your mistakes, and ultimately don't commit those same mistakes again, and you'll be fine.
Thank you, Edgar. You guys each have really helpful and thoughtful advice. I'll definitely be taking from each of you. Thank you so much for all of your thoughtful answers to my questions. Now we invite our audience to ask their questions. So please feel free to unmute or ask in the chat if you guys have any questions.
Hi, my name is Marichui Fonseca. So I have a question for the first panelist. I can't remember her name. I got into the chat really late. My connection was not working.
Yep,
So
go ahead, Marjorie.
yeah. So for someone who who thinks like, oh, I'm too old, or I'm too, or it's too late to start medical school, or to go to medical school, or to even think about it, to go into nursing, what advice would you give me specifically, or anyone who thinks the same?
I'm gonna jump right in. I'm gonna tell you, do it. I'm gonna say do it. Honestly, for me, what I go by is the time's going to pass anyway. So if it's something that you are into, I say just seek it out and go for it. I actually got my BS first, and I worked in marketing, and then I went back to Foothill and got into pharmacy technician. I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna be the older one in my class. Everyone's gonna be fresh out of high school. But I was like, whatever. We're gonna make some new friends. We're gonna make connections. These are gonna be possibly my colleagues one time. You start realizing how small your industry is, and making those connections with people is going to be great. It doesn't matter how old you are, young or new. Young or old, new or old. But but honestly, I would say go for it. I'm in the future, I'm going to actually go back. I'm looking into getting into clinical nursing myself, and I'll be older by the time I do that, but I'm still going to go for it. So for me personally, I say that just go for it.
All right. So, and how I would ask you, how do you manage, your previous career with, going back to school and all that?
I guess I can answer. Oh,
No.
I guess I can answer for me. I was don't think about being old or young, or I returned back to school when I was older, over 30. So it's never too late. It took my goal, you know, I just made a goal, and it took me like 10 years to get there. But little by little, you can do it. It was very hard for me. Like English was my second language, so it was very hard just to start learning English, and then my goal of medicine. So it was very hard, and being older, it is hard to learn. Things is not as easy as a young kid. You know, my kids can learn something so fast, and for me, I have to, just for my English as my second language, I have to read it and try to understand it in my language. So it is very hard, but here I am. It's possible to do it. Just do it.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Susana.
Yes.
I read you a little bit about you, and I was so like, I need to listen to her because
Yes,
I'm
do it.
very, I'm very, like I have so much similarities on you. English is not my first language. I came here when I was 17. So, and then the thought of, learning the language and blah, blah, blah. And so now, I have my bachelor's. Now I'm rethinking my career. I want to do something in medicine. But I've been waiting for 4 years already, not deciding just to go for it. But so what would you tell, what would you tell that?
Sorry,
Yes.
Marichu, how about we answer a couple other questions, and then when you get into breakouts, maybe you can join Susana's breakout and talk a little more with her. Is that all right?
Awesome. Yeah, that definitely.
Cool. Thank you. Danielle, you want to ask the next couple, and then maybe after the second question that's in the chat, we can send it to breakout.
Okay. There's a question in the chat that asks, how do you guys take care of your mental health, especially with a lot of work in your schedule?
For me personally, I love going for walks with my dogs at night. That's the only thing. And actually, even though commuting is hell, I'm sorry, it's bad. But that is my time to kind of chill, listen to music, talk to people. So by the time I get home, I'm usually in a great state. It's like, okay, it's over. I did it. Everything's okay. I finished my work, and tomorrow's a new day.
Thank you, Susanna. There's another question in the chat that asks, how did you all find and choose the career path that you chose?
I can answer. When I was in college, I had to pay for it myself. So I got a couple of part-time jobs to give me an idea of what did I want to do? What's the reality of those jobs? One of them was working in a bio lab. So I did a lot of Petri dish washing. Like it. I worked in retail, and then one was working in a dental office. And at that point, all I could do was like spray and wipe a chair. I couldn't do anything with the patient. I couldn't really do much clinically or technically, but it gave me that kind of insider view of what the whole day is like working in a dental office. And it helped me kind of focus, where I wanted to spend my days. So if you can jump into any job, even if you're not making much money, but you can get a preview of what your future might be like, I think that's a really good way to kind of narrow it down.
Thank you, Dayna. If you guys would all like to share your thoughts on this question, that would be great too.
I agree with Dayna on getting a preview. I think a preview as a pharmacy assistant was perfect. There's just certain things we couldn't do without a license. And once I received that, I was like, oh, this is great. This is exactly what I want to do. I'm glad I can actually handle medication in this way. I'm glad I can elevate my career in another form and be more hands-on. So I agree, if there's something that you can do to get your foot in the door and just see what it feels like, I would say go for that if you can.
Sure.
And the way I found it, I mentioned earlier, I honestly was looking for job security at the time. I used to work in retail as well. I worked at a Microsoft store. the one in Palo Alto. And from there, everyone knows a lot of them are closed now, but I was looking for, as much as I love doing that kind of stuff, but I wanted something that I know was going to be in the field, something that, gets your brain going every day. I didn't want to feel like, I couldn't resolve certain issues and problems. So that kind of led me into looking into that way. And originally I wanted to work for the county and I forgot about it. And they hit me up like a year and a half or something later, and I forgot I applied, and they were like, "Hey, you want to work here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do. I forgot, but sure." But it ended up being the best thing ever, and led me down my path, and I'm grateful for it for today. So it's nice.
Danielle, do you just want to call on one of the speakers?
Oh yeah, sorry. Edgar, if you'd like to go.
Yeah, sure thing. So for me, the internships also helped me decide, which career path I wanted to take. As I mentioned, initially I was pursuing architecture, and I was lucky enough to find an internship at an architectural firm in Mountain View. I was a very hands-on person back then. I really like to work with my hands. So I really like the whole aspect of designing a functional home, a functional building, and then assembling that building, through models and stuff like that. But then, as I was progressing through my classes, I realized that the math component, it was becoming more and more difficult. I ended up stopping completely after I just couldn't handle three-dimensional calculus. That was and linear algebra. I was just having such a difficult time. So that was a transitory period in my time where, as I mentioned, I got to meet a group of very inspiring people that are now very close friends of mine. They were all pursuing fields in the sciences, whether that be medicine, dentistry, pharmacy. So I kind of, followed their path to see, what that entailed. And I did a whole bunch of internships as well and volunteering opportunities. I don't know if any of you are familiar with there's a club on campus, if it's still around, it's called Foothill Global Medical Brigades. I was actually one of the co-founders of that club. And that was a huge opportunity for me because not only did I get to learn about, different aspects of medicine, I also got to apply some of those skills and travel to Honduras, where I got to provide medical services to underrepresented individuals of those populations. So that was, even though I didn't pursue medicine, eventually I did realize that, science, biology is something that I wanted to be involved in. So, that can be a whole different variety of different fields. And yeah, like I said, it all has to do with exposing yourself, not being scared to putting yourself in that situation, and then just, going for it, Yeah.
Thank you so much, Edgar, and thank you all of you for your thoughtful and inspiring answers. I'll pass this off to Sophia for the breakout room.
Great. So we're going to do a little bit of breakout rooms, and this is a chance for you to ask more questions. I think folks, not everybody responded, but I think what I'll do is just put people into groups if that's all right. So I'll get the groups started, and then for anybody who didn't designate anyone, you can go ahead and I'll move you into rooms. So I'm opening the rooms. You should be able to accept a room to go into. So go ahead and do that. And in the meantime, I will send people into various rooms, and we'll see you back. Danielle, where would you like to?
This meeting is being recorded.
Oops.
Welcome back, everyone. So we're just going to open the floor to any questions that you guys might have. You can unmute or drop in the chat.
Just one question. Will internships be more seasonal? I was thinking of applying, but is there will we see the deadlines on the open website? In the STLI website?
Oh, Miguel, is that a question for us?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to have a whole slew of summer internships. And yeah, I know a couple of the speakers have spoken about the importance of internships, not only for so many reasons, right? For exposure, for just experience, see if it's a field you like. So we'll have a whole bunch of summer internships that'll start coming out. And the best way to do that is to actually sign up for our email list. if you aren't already on our email, we send out a weekly e-newsletter, and I'll put the sign up in the chat. You can get on a weekly newsletter where we send out not only internships that we run, but also internships that we get announcements for all over. Because yeah, I say that's such an important way to get a feel for if the field you're interested in is the way to go. Yeah, for any of the speakers, if you're willing to share your email addresses or LinkedIn profiles, whatever you want to share as a resource, that'd be great. But yeah, any other questions that people have for the panelists too?
Yes, I have a question. So how, being, I consider myself to be a minority. So how do you deal with that feeling that maybe you don't belong there? Or maybe, just, yeah, I am the only woman, or I am only the, the minority here. I feel like, I'm the outsider. How do you actually, get, I don't know if it's self-confidence, I don't know what that is, what that would be, but how do you get, or yeah, how do you deal with that?
Hi, Marichu. I can speak to that a little bit. I was having a conversation with Corinne during the breakout rooms, and I mentioned how when I transitioned from architecture to the biological sciences, one of the courses that I had to take at Foothill were organic chemistry. It's a fairly advanced science course. In order to get into that class, you have to finish all your general chemistry, Chem 1A, 1B, and 1C. One of the first things that I noticed was in my particular class of about maybe, I don't know, 50 to 60 people, I noticed that I was maybe one of 3 Latinos, Hispanics, minorities in my class. And at first it was a little bit weird, I have to say, because, I came from other classes where, there was a huge diversity of people in those classes. And for some reason, when you go into the hard sciences, you start to realize that there's a majority of different, ethnicities and races, and then there are a lot of them that are lacking. So, you kind of have to, wear that like a badge of honor. You're representing your people, your community, and, of course you don't think that you have to prove yourself to them. The fact that you are there already says so much about you and about your ambition. You kind of just have to focus on proving to yourself that you can take this class and the subsequent classes in order to get to where you want to go in your career. So, that's one thing I did when I first started taking all these upper division science courses, wear like a badge of honor, and just compete and learn from people, learn from mistakes, make connections, network. All those are very key ways, key aspects in order to reach your ultimate goals. So yeah, that's what I can say regarding that.
Thank you very much. And how have you experienced, or at work at your right now, and how do you deal, if you don't mind answering that? Because I have felt that way before, and even in my field, I just felt that I was the only one different, and at times I felt that I wasn't heard, even though I spoke what I thought.
Yeah, at my job, it's pretty much the same thing. It's sad to say that I am one of maybe 10 people that are Hispanic out of a company made up of more than 600 people. But like I said, it's wear like a badge of honor. And one of the reasons that I'm here with you guys today is because I'm trying to promote and demonstrate to people that are starting off in their careers that, just because you are a minority does not mean that you can't pursue these particular careers. It does not mean that you aren't worthy. The problem is that, we don't necessarily start off with the same resources as your peers, but that should never be a deterrent in allowing you to reach whatever goal that you're trying to achieve. And it starts here at the foundation. So This is why I'm here. I'm here to show that, you know, there's definitely diversity in a variety of STEM fields, and every company, every school, every career is different. And what all you can do to help the cause is, you know, make it in your career, become as best as you can, and then give back to your community and continue that that link, that chain, you know, to grow ourselves, our communities, and, you know, promote diversity everywhere.
Do any of the other
Thank you
speakers
so
have
much.
anything to add to that kind of experience? Susanna, were you going to say something, or?
No, I'm good. I agree with Edgar 100%.
I agree
As
with
do
that
I.
too. Yeah, I would say when you're sitting in a room with your peers and you look around and you don't look like anyone, you kind of have to pat yourself on the back and be proud of, you know, look, maybe they had these advantages to get here, but now we're in the same position. So look back and think about all the hard work you had to endure, and just be proud that you have that goal, you have your path. And I wouldn't, easier said than done to not feel, like you're out of your element, but just be, proud of what you've done.
For sure.
Danielle, you want to take it over?
Yeah. So my final question for each of the panelists. Your answers will be featured on our social media, just to let you guys know. So many of us have no idea what it's like to be in a career. So to give students a preview of what it's like to be in your line of work, could you share something unexpected that you experienced upon entering your field? Would anyone like to start us off?
Or anything unexpected you learned also?
I can start. So starting at AbbVie, you know, you have a set of responsibilities and things that you have to, you know, do on a day-to-day basis. Something that I wasn't necessarily prepared for, although I was anticipating, is presenting at team meetings, at seminars. And that's one of the things that I've always tried to improve upon. I used to be an incredibly introverted person. I did not like to speak with other people in public, be in a panel just like this, of this nature. But I forget which of the panelists said this, but you kind of just have to put yourself in that situation and, you know, not be afraid to look bad or to not do as well, because, you know, every single experience that you put yourself in, it is a learning experience, and you're only going to get better. And plus, you know, it kind of, for me, it promoted me to kind of go more in depth into the science, into what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it. And, you know, being a presenter definitely demonstrates how much energy and work you've put into the particular area that you're presenting in. And you know, it shows, it also promotes visibility within the company, which is good, especially when you are trying to get some sort of career advancement. If you want to be considered for a promotion, for example, if you want to work as a member of another team, you have to have that visibility so that people know who you are. They know that you are someone that works hard, someone that is not afraid to fail, and someone that is ambitious enough to, you know, take on additional responsibilities. That's my take.
Well,
Thank you.
I can go next. I think I was not prepared for when I was working in custody, that I didn't think it was going to be so hard for me to treat the worst criminals in the world and be able to have no bias and ignore whatever they were doing and just treat them respectfully, you know, humanly. And it was very shocking to me, scary, shocking. And but I did it. Is I had a great nurse that's like, Susanna, you just have to just be strong, and we're here for you, and you can do it. And you start learning how to just be confident and learn from that experience. And every day you get better. So that was very hard for me.
I agree. Susanna completely just like jogged a whole lot of memories. I was like, yeah, I
Right.
completely agree with that. You do, especially, you know, working for the county, you accept, you know, anybody and everybody can come there to receive healthcare. So, you know, you're in their profiles, you essentially can see what's going on, right? When you have to update everything. And so, you know, you're not really there to judge people. And you
Exactly.
just have to completely put whatever their past, whatever their experiences that they're
And
going
just-
through, and
for
provide
sure.
that care with them. So I completely agree with that. I was not prepared to
Do
you
that.
know, I would, yes, you're exposed to a lot. So I definitely agree with that.
I think in dentistry, I was kind of surprised to realize how much communication was required, like minute by minute throughout your day. You kind of, you know, you go into a bio field thinking like all you need to know is the science and the bookwork and that kind of stuff. But when you get out in the world and you're working with others, whether it's just patients or your coworkers, there's so much communication that has to go on just to make your day successful, to make things run smoothly. And I think that just takes a lot of practice. Nobody's great at communication naturally, I don't think. And you just, you know, the more you like kind of have a plan, you stay organized, but also letting others in to kind of help you out and express what your plans are verbally. I think that's a really big kind of thing that I've learned throughout the years of being in dentistry.
Thank you so much for speaking in our panel today. We really appreciated your experiences and willingness to share them with everyone. And we also thank our audience members as well for attending and participating in our conversation about health science career pathways and diversity issues in STEM. I'll now pass it back to Sophia.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all so much for being here, both the panelists and the participants as well. I'm dropping in the chat for the students and the participants. If you don't mind just opening that, filling out a feedback survey and sharing a thank you message. And could we just give our speakers reactions, thank you in the chat. I didn't know any of them before today, and I found them through various means. And they all agreed to do this, I think, because of their commitment to students, commitment to learning, commitment to Foothill. So just so appreciative of you all agreeing to this strange request. I want to let folks know we are continuing this panel series. Our next one will be in March for Women's History Month. We'll have a panel on women in different STEM careers. So keep a lookout for that. The best way to keep in touch with us, as I said, is to join our email list. But can we just give a round of applause, thank yous to our guests, and just want to appreciate you all taking the time for us today. Thank you all for being here, and have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you
everyone.
so much for the panelists.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you guys. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye.